discussing with us about this particular lens, how important it is. As a researcher, Dr. MUKISA,
yes,
you're highlighting for us, you're telling us, Minister of Energy, that one of the things I was listening to you talking before we actually went into a break, highlighting how people don't mind about whether they're using clean energy as long as food is ready. And even when we talked about emmere yokugas tewoma, eyokusigire womo wa firewood, and then you're highlighting onto how dangerous it is. Someone will tell you, people are concerned. We have seen, my grandmother is 100 years. People have been living up to 90 years, and then they're using firewood. They have not had any problems, I can say, health related, majority about concerning fire or the use of cooking. How are you going to convince someone that you can change and for better living you need to do this when we have not seen that so many times happening?
Yeah, so what I'll start with is Uganda has lost a big chunk of its forest cover in the last 2 decades. This has mainly been to firewood and of course population growth. And you know that as population increases, we need more land to settle on. So people are clearing forests and wetlands to occupy these land spaces. Like as you mentioned, your grandmother, those days people had enough land. So even if someone wants to cook, they had a kitchen which is big enough. Today we are buying very small pieces of land, and you find you have a very small kitchen where you have to cook all the things, and the smoke is held up in there. So there is no ventilation for you to have some of this smoke escape. So you inhale. We have a number of people that have suffered from inhaling carbon monoxide. Some have been hospitalized, some maybe could have recovered from home. So the thing also is the concept of efficiency. The 3 stones we're used to, they're not as efficient as the modern stoves. Because with the modern stove is made with a clay layer inside. This clay, stores some heat that even when charcoal or briquettes are out, there's still heat coming out from the hot clay, So it's an aspect of sensitization, because it's the same thing with phones. People were hesitant, going to buy
At least
phones.
you convinced me when you talked about the other time. There were bigger kitchens. Now it's something small, and we're inhaling. Let me cross to Mr. KIMULI. Have you revised about the cost of living that this will come with, the cost of transparency? We're saying people cook with gas, adopt pellets, but what is the cost? Or briquettes, what is the cost as Ministry of Energy?
The cost I cannot put a figure.
Of course there is no figure, but have you considered this kind of, I want us to...
It appears one of the issues that are constraining people from adopting these technologies is they claim the high cost. That it's the high cost of these technologies that are attached to the technologies, be they stoves or improved stoves, be they LPG, the canisters and the gas itself, the associated stoves, be it we now have it's a new source of fuel from biomass, that is ethanol, being used for cooking. Now, be it that ethanol and its stove or other technologies, people say that it's expensive as one of the major constraints that are barring people from adopting and using these new technologies. So they tend to basically fall back on the traditional, the known resources and technologies. Like he was saying, even the charcoal, there are technologies, it makes it not more destructive. Is being used, and in terms of the volumes that you get out from what you put in. That's what do they call it in economics? you put in the outcome, the output
Okay.
versus the input is much higher when using these technologies than when using the traditional technologies. So cost is one of those things. Then actually there is inertia. I mean, people's this long period of using depending on those traditional sources, people tend not to feel or to see the need to change. Like you were saying that I've been using this. Exactly. That's an issue of awareness and information dissemination, because people are not, they tend not to be aware of what are the real factors behind what we are trying to drive forward.
I will just relate it to electricity. When there was rural electrification, I had a lot of was surveying areas, and then one of the highlights is someone someone is having electricity but is not willing to use it. Why? I have children, I have a lot, so they have got that fear. I do not know how you are addressing it as a government and what you are going to do towards this particular mindset. Any strategies yet?
The strategies, rather the addressing those issues are in the strategies themselves, creating awareness about the negative effects, the negative aspects of using these new technologies, and the positives. I mean, how one can avoid the dangerous.
How do you create that awareness, Mr. KIMULI? Have you designated areas in different districts of the country already, and then people can seek information they need?
Yes. Like I was saying, we have one of the things we've started, the government has started, is the National Renewable Energy Platform, which, like I was saying, you try to bring together all the different actors in the renewable energy sector. Now, these different actors help, like I said, help government in transmitting whatever aspect, let it be information, let it be new technologies, let it be whatever awareness creation. They help government to transfer these aspects further, deeper to the communities.
The end user decision. You have engaged decision making. I'm going to get back to you.
Also, there is like we are working with the GIZ.
Yes, please.
It's a German-sponsored agency, not agency, but it's a Germany government aid program to developing countries. It's called GIZ, and in the ministry we have that program. And we are promoting renewable energy and energy efficiency practices and technologies and what have you, including those awareness bits on the different renewable energy technologies. And that program is called Promotion of Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Program. Through that program, we are working with district level governments to create awareness. I mean, to institutionalize, to streamline energy issues into the district development programs, which district development programs can now help also to further enhance and disseminate information. At down in the lower levels. Sub-county at the community levels.
Okay.
So those are some of the...
something. We'll be following up that particular programming, but I hope you are engaging the public on decision making, because at the end of the day, government always makes decisions on behalf of the public without getting prior survey. The researcher here is going to engage us on that. And let me first cross you to regularities around renewable resources. Do we have any regulations governing us right now?
We have frameworks and policies that are governing this. we have a renewable energy policy that was, passed in the year 2007, and of course this was to concretize the government's commitment towards renewable energy development in this country. But we also have a different, because now government is moving towards mini grids and microgrids for areas that are far from the grid access. So there is also an isolated microgrid framework that has been effected to guide the development of microgrids. Government has also adopted the International Electrotechnical Commission standards for solar home systems. So that's also to stabilize and harmonize the performance of solar systems. Government is also in works or to develop a framework for productive use of energy. That's under work. It's work in progress and could be coming out anytime soon. These are all to guide and support development of renewable energy. And you see, we still have a challenge that people here do not use energy like renewables, say solar, for productive use. And the only thing that has been going
What do you mean productive use? If I get the solar installed on my house, basically I need light, charging, and then...
So for productive use is for you to have a system and have some income generated from your system. So if I have, for instance, my tablet here, I'm able to share maybe some information with people and they will pay me. So with productive use of energy, we are looking at solar. If you have a solar system, you're able maybe to charge phones for the people in your vicinity, have a solar charging kiosk, have a mill, solar milling system, like for millet and the likes, because we're trying to move away from using diesel generators. So we're adopting solar millers. We are looking at refrigerators, solar powered refrigerators. So if you have a solar system, you have a refrigeration system, and at least you make money out of that. Unfortunately, people have not yet moved into this. These are mainly still at the early stages. But I know as the costs of solar go down, these things will still become more feasible and affordable by our
Yes, and we want people to adopt those transparencies that are coming, people to use gas. Are there any laws that have already been put, or I mean, to achieve this, sometimes I feel like you need to regulate some of the things and then hold people accountable. What you see is not being done. Is that happening with this time at the ministry?
We have the ministry has developed regulations concerning biofuels use, production and use of biofuels. By biofuels, we mean those fuels, liquid fuels that can be obtained from plants. Things like the cooking oil is actually, you can call it a biofuel. Now you get that this oil from cooking from plants and mix it with petroleum or diesel according to what you are mixing. For instance, if you are dealing with petrol, you can mix it with ethanol. You know ethanol?
Yes, please.
Yeah, ethanol from plants. Now that's a biofuel that we call bioethanol. Ethanol with petroleum mixed together in at certain percentages, you get a bioethanol fuel that can be used for cooking or in vehicles actually.
Can I do it for myself, or do you recommend?
Please.
Okay, please.
The regulations, I think, bar an individual like Miss
Rita, go there and mix what you're telling me.
It may not buy you specific, but we need it. You need to do it officially in terms that will not bring problems to the other consumers, even you yourself. Yeah. It also tackles biodiesel. That's diesel mixed with fuel, some sort of oil from now certain plants that produce. But it's called biodiesel anyway. It's like oil, like cooking oil or diesel actually. So when you mix that with diesel itself, the fossil fuel diesel, you get a biodiesel, which is a biofuel.
And what
in these
is
terms.
The regulation
so
on that now? On doing that?
The regulations, I don't really have them, but they are there. They are in place.
Okay.
And
we are them and convey them to you as you plan to mixing fuel, mixing petrol to get thermal, right?
Come again?
Biothermal, getting biothermal, mixing petrol, mixing diesel to get.
No, what we get is bioethanol.
Yes, bioethanol.
I didn't get the question, I'm sorry.
No, I was telling people as they are mixing all those, they have to look forward for regulations.
Yes, the regulations are in place. We've been refining them over the last couple of weeks and months because it's this process of to and fro, back and forth. We call those strong stakeholders, if you can allow me, those who intend to produce actually, who intend to go into a big production of biofuels, like the Kachira Sugar Works, like some people producing diesel in bigger quantities. So those ones, before we interact with them, we consult with them in order to ensure that the regulation that's being put forward, is it acceptable, will it work? And they look into it and they say, okay, this one is okay, this will work, this will not work. Okay. So that's the consultative process we go through. Okay. And the regulations are in place, only awaiting assent. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Kimuli, for the public to understand, is it entitled to individuals or those who have got capacity to do it? What we were just exemplary on mixing fuel, mixing petrol to get bioethanol. Can an individual do it? Because we are seeing it, we have said it now, someone is going to try it out.
Yes. I remember in the regulations, there are conditions, terms. I mean, you make an application. You can be a big firm, or actually you can even be an individual who is capable of doing this. So you apply, fill out, satisfy the requirements, and then you'll be ready to go to produce the biofuels.
That could be a take home for you, definitely. Let me cross to Dr. MUKISA here to give us an overview about our exports right now. How do we stand, and also how should we improve our hydro exportation, and looking further, wind exportation?
Yeah. Exportation is one thing we should focus our eyes on to at the moment in the East African community. We should establish an East African community integrated electrification network. So we should have our grid cutting across all the East African countries. We should extend to Burundi, Congo, Rwanda, Tanzania, Kenya, South Sudan. Let's have a network. If you're going to talk about, because one thing that we're looking out for is energy security. Today we're talking about security in Congo and these other countries, and we're talking about sending the forces there. We also need to send our electricity there. Congo is home to a lot of renewable energy sources as well. It's full of biomass and hydro powered sources. So, but if we have an integrated network for East Africa, we'll do away with these power outages. Yes, about 2.4% losses in GDP due to power outages. So every time there is an electricity outage, in a year, 2.4 is lost of GDP. Companies, industry, farms that produce and sell products lose about 4.9. That's on an African scale. For Uganda, I'm not saying about the values, the figures, but you see, the numbers are representative. So there are countries that are well known for suffering or having timed outages. So if we can establish this network, some countries like Kenya have advanced in geothermal. We've not yet developed our geothermal to that capacity. So we can always have an understanding around East African community. We have a common market for electricity, and we'll all be winning. Because wind is intermittent.
So how can we export wind?
So we export hydro.
And how could we export that for the public to understand? Someone is asking me here, outside, you could explain
okay, so
the business.
how wind operates is this. We have a windmill. So they have this. We've had this with instruments in schools, you know, wind vanes and the likes. So as the wind blows, the blades rotate. As the blades rotate, they are connected to a rotor, which goes straight to the motor and the generator. So as it runs, it's running the generator. Basically, how a thermal power plant runs is how a wind runs, except that with a thermal power plant, we use steam to run the generator, and here we use wind to run the blades.
Okay, you know, time is not a...
So you export the power that is produced.
Yeah,
maybe that's the easiest way.
Thank you so much for coming through this particular morning. And we have been discussing about how important renewable energy is. And at least something you said out, 30 seconds, and then we sign out.
Yeah, the Ministry of Energy through the National Renewable Energy Platform is organizing a conference and a fair. We are going to have a conference and an exhibition hosted at Coral International Grounds. Here we are bringing together all stakeholders from all walks of life.
I have come to learn, let me cut you short, I've come to learn that you can go and exhibit what you can do in the Ministry of Energy. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming through this particular morning. It's been a great morning and a great show. My name is Rita Cabanyoro, and definitely 210 coming your way. Catch me up at Rita Cabanyoro. It's a goodbye from now. Financial markets coming through next after the break.